If someone had told me my first day as an intern would end with a char knowing my name, I would have assumed I spilled coffee on a server. Imagine being a 23-year-old intern walking into the most powerful tech giant in Eastbridge City only two. Accidentally insult the city's youngest. Billionaire CEO. Most people would call that instant career suicide. But sometimes the most disastrous first impressions become the moments that change everything. Natalia Graves built her empire on control, precision, and fear. Harper Lane challenged it with nothing but honesty and heart. What happened next stunned Wall Street, the media, and even the two of them. Before we get into this incredible story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, tap that notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Your support truly means everything. The glass elevator glided upward, climbing 43 floors. Harper's reflection stared back at her in the mirrored walls, anxious but resolute. She had no idea her life was about to change forever. The doors slid open with a soft hiss, revealing the 43rd floor of Graves Industries. Harper Lane stepped out onto polished marble so glossy it reflected the Eastbridge city skyline like glass. Her heart pounded against her ribs. "First day nerves," she muttered under her breath, tightening her grip on the leather portfolio in her hands. The reception area unfolded before her like a spread from a high-end design magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the city below. Bold, modern art pieces dotted the pristine white walls. Everything radiated wealth and power. "You must be Harper Lane." A woman in a sharp navy suit was walking toward her. "I'm Monica, Miss Graves' executive assistant. She's expecting you." Harper's mouth went dry already, but I thought orientation was Miss Graves doesn't do traditional orientation. Monica's smile was polite, but warned against questions. "Follow me." They walked down a hallway lined with awards and magazine covers. Forbes, Fortune, Time. Every cover featured the same face. Natalia Graves, dark hair pulled back severely. Emerald eyes that seemed to look straight through the camera. The youngest self-made billionaire in Aurora. Harper had studied those photos for weeks, preparing for this internship. But seeing them now in person made her stomach flip. This woman had built a tech empire from nothing. She commanded respect from world leaders. And somehow Harper was supposed to impress her? "Conference room," Monica announced, stopping at massive glass doors. "Ms. Graves is presenting the Q4 campaign to the board. You'll observe." Through the glass, Harper saw 12 people in expensive suits sitting around a marble table. At the head sat Natalia Graves herself. Even from a distance, her presence filled the room. Monica opened the door quietly. "Take a seat in the back. Don't speak unless spoken to." Harper slipped inside, trying to become invisible. Natalia's voice commanded the space. "Our latest campaign targets the luxury market exclusively," Natalia was saying, clicking through slides on a massive screen. "Premium pricing, exclusive access, limited availability. We're selling status, not just technology." The presentation was flawless. Charts showed projected profits. Demographics broke down their target audience. Everything was calculated, precise, perfect, too perfect. Harper frowned, studying the slides. The campaign was brilliant from a business standpoint, but something fell off, cold, disconnected. "Questions?" Natalia asked, her voice cutting through Harper's thoughts. The board members nodded approvingly. "Exceptional work as always," one man said. "The exclusivity angle will drive demand through the roof." Others murmured agreement. Harper watched Natalia's face. Professional satisfaction, but something else, too. Like she was going through motions. "Any other thoughts?" Natalia's eyes swept the room. Harper's hand shot up before her brain could stop it. The room went dead silent. 12 pairs of eyes turned to stare at her. Natalia's expression didn't change, but something flickered behind those emerald eyes. Yes, Natalia's voice could have frozen fire. Harper's throat felt like sandpaper. I have a question about the campaign." "You have a question?" Natalia's tone made it sound impossible. "You're Harper Lane, the new intern." The words tumbled out. I was wondering about the emotional connection. One board member actually laughed. Emotional connection. Harper's cheeks burned, but something inside her refused to back down. I mean, yes. Your company built its reputation on making technology accessible to everyone. This campaign feels like you're saying, unless you can afford luxury prices, you don't matter. The silence stretched like a rubber band about to snap. I see. Natalia's voice was dangerously quiet. And what would you suggest instead? Every instinct screamed at Harper to apologize and shut up. But she thought about why she'd applied for this internship in the first place. About the Natalia Graves who'd started this company in her garage, determined to change the world. Maybe people aren't buying it because it feels heartless, Harper said quietly. The rubber band snapped. One board member's face turned purple. This is completely inappropriate. That's enough. Natalia's words cut through the room like a blade. She stared at Harper for what felt like hours, but was probably seconds. Everyone else, thank you. We'll reconvene tomorrow. The board filed out, shooting Harper looks that could have melted steel. Monica appeared at Harper's elbow. Come on, she whispered urgently. Time to go. But Natalia's voice stopped them. Miss Lane, stay. Monica squeezed Harper's arm sympathetically and left. The massive doors closed with a soft click. Harper and Natalia were alone. Natalia gathered her papers with deliberate precision. In 5 years of running this company, no one has ever interrupted my presentation. I'm sorry, no one, Natalia continued, has ever called my work heartless to my face. Harper's chest felt tight. Miss Graves, I didn't mean to be disrespectful. Didn't you? Natalia finally looked up. Those emerald eyes seemed to see straight through to Harper's soul. You walked into my boardroom on your first day and told me I'd forgotten why people trusted my company. Harper's voice failed because that's exactly what she'd done. Natalia stood slowly moving around the table until she was 3 feet away. Up close, she was even more intimidating, tall, elegant, with a presence that made the huge conference room feel small. Do you know what happens to people who speak to me that way? Natalia asked softly. Harper forced herself to meet those piercing eyes. They get fired. They get fired. Natalia agreed. Immediately, security escorts them out. Their careers in this industry end before they begin. Harper's heart sank to her shoes. She'd thrown away her dream job in less than an hour. But then Natalia did something unexpected. She smiled. Not the polite professional smile from the magazine covers. Something real. You'll be in my office at 8 tomorrow morning, Natalia said quietly. We're going to talk about heartless campaigns and emotional connections. Harper blinked. I what? 8 o'clock? Don't be late. Natalia moved toward the door, then paused. And Miss Lane, next time you want to challenge me, do it privately first. The board doesn't need to see their CEO get schooled by an intern. The doors closed behind her, leaving Harper alone in the conference room, her mind reeling. She just insulted the most powerful woman in Eastbridge City. And somehow she still had a job. Harper arrived at Graves Industries at 7:30 the next morning, too nervous to eat breakfast. Her stomach felt like it was hosting a gymnastics competition. She'd barely slept, replaying yesterday's confrontation over and over. The 43rd floor was eerily quiet. Most employees wouldn't arrive for another hour. Harper's heels clicked against the marble as she approached Natalia's corner office. Monica wasn't at her desk yet. A placard read, Natalia Graves, Chief Executive Officer, in understated silver letters. Through the glass walls, Harper could see Natalia already working, her dark hair catching the early morning light. At exactly 8 o'clock, Harper knocked. Come in! Natalia's office was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of Eastbridge City. Modern furniture in whites and grays created a space that was both luxurious and minimalist. Awards and accolades lined one wall. But what caught Harper's attention was a small framed photo on Natalia's desk. A much younger Natalia in jeans and a Harrington University sweatshirt, grinning beside what looked like her first prototype. Punctual, I like that. Natalia didn't look up from her laptop. Sit. Harper chose one of the leather chairs facing Natalia's desk. The silence stretched until her nerves felt raw. Finally, Natalia closed her laptop and leaned back. Tell me about yourself. What would you like to know? Everything. Why technology? Why my company? Why should I care about your opinion? Harper took a deep breath. I graduated from Eastbridge University with degrees in design and business. I chose technology because I believe it can change lives. Really change them. And I chose Graves Industries because she gestured toward the photo on Natalia's desk. Because you used to believe that too. Natalia's expression didn't change, but something shifted in her posture. Used to that photo. You look happy, excited, like you were building something meaningful. Harper felt her confidence returning. Your early products were revolutionary because they made advanced technology affordable. You democratized innovation. And now you're selling status symbols to people who already have everything. Natalia stood and moved to the windows, her silhouette sharp against the morning sky. Do you know what it takes to build a company like this? Hard work, vision, sacrifice. Compromise, Natalia said quietly. Endless compromise. You start with big dreams about changing the world. Then investors want returns. Shareholders demand growth. The market forces you to adapt or die. She turned back to Harper. I haven't forgotten why I started this company. But I can't change the world if I'm bankrupt. You're not even close to bankrupt, Harper said before she could stop herself. Natalia's eyebrows rose. Excuse me, I did my research. Graves Industries is worth $12 billion. You personally are worth $4.7 billion. You could fund a dozen humanitarian projects and still have more money than most countries. You think it's about money. I think it's about fear. The words hung in the air like a challenge. Natalia moved back to her desk, her movements controlled and precise. Fear, she repeated. Fear of failing. Fear of not being taken seriously. Fear that if you show any vulnerability, everyone will remember you're 39 years old in an industry run by men who think women are too emotional for business. Natalia's eyes narrowed dangerously. You don't know anything about my industry. I know you've been asked about your leadership style in every interview for 5 years. I know tech blogs call you the Ice Queen and act like it's a compliment. I know you've built walls so high that even your own employees are afraid to disagree with you. Those walls, Natalia said, her voice as sharp as shattered glass, are the reason this company exists. The reason 8,000 people have jobs. The reason we get to sit here debating philosophy instead of clawing just to survive. But what's the point of surviving if you've forgotten how to live? The word struck Natalia like a punch. For a heartbeat, her flawless composure slipped, exposing something unguarded and aching beneath the surface. Then it was gone. The mask snapped back into place. You're very young, Miss Lane, Natalia replied, her tone turning icy. The world looks different when billions of dollars and thousands of lives rest on your decisions. Maybe, Harper said. Or maybe you've just decided that caring is a liability. Natalia pushed back her chair and rose abruptly. This conversation is over. Is it? Harper challenged. Because yesterday you asked me to talk about heartless campaigns and emotional connection. Yesterday I was interested in your point of view, Natalia shot back. Today I've realized you're a naive idealist who believes good intentions are enough. Harper stood too, anger sparking hot in her chest. And you're a brilliant woman who's terrified to admit she might have lost sight of what actually matters. They faced each other across the desk, two storms colliding. Natalia's emerald eyes burned with fury and something else, something that looked dangerously close to hurt. Get out, Natalia said, the words quiet but lethal. Miss Graves, get out. Harper grabbed her purse and portfolio, fingers trembling with adrenaline. At the doorway, she paused and looked back. For what it's worth, she said softly, I still believe in the woman in that photograph. Even if you don't? She left Natalia standing alone in her glass tower, surrounded by awards and achievements that suddenly felt very cold. Outside in the hallway, Harper pressed her back against the wall and tried to steady her breathing. She'd done it again, pushed too hard, said too much. But as she walked to the elevator, she couldn't shake the image of Natalia's face when she'd mentioned the walls. For just a second, the Ice Queen had looked almost lonely. Maybe that was worth risking her career for. 3 days passed without contact from Natalia. Harper threw herself into her assigned projects, working with the design team on minor campaigns and trying to ignore the whispers that followed her everywhere. That's the intern who yelled at Natalia Graves. People murmured, "She's got guts." I'll give her that. She's got a death wish. On Thursday evening, Harper was alone in the design lab, perfecting mock-ups for a client presentation when Monica appeared. "Miss Graves wants to see you," she said, her expression unreadable. Harper's pulse spiked. Now! The elevator ride to the 43rd floor felt eternal. This time, Natalia's office was dimly lit by desk lamps instead of natural light. It was past 8 o'clock. Most of the building was empty. Natalia stood at the windows again, but tonight she looked different. Her perfect posture had softened slightly. Her hair was loose around her shoulders instead of pulled back in its usual severe style. "Close the door," Natalia said without turning around. Harper obeyed, her heart hammering. "Miss Graves, you wanted to see me?" "I've been thinking about our conversation, about walls and fear and caring being weakness." Natalia finally turned in the lamplight. She looked younger, more like the woman in the photograph. "I built my first computer when I was 16. Natalia continued, "In my bedroom. My parents thought I was wasting time, but I knew technology could solve problems nobody else was even thinking about." She moved to a cabinet and pulled out a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. "Would you like some? It's been a long day." Harper nodded, too surprised to speak. This felt surreal, having wine with the CEO in our private office after hours. Natalia poured carefully and handed Harper a glass. "I started this company because I wanted to make technology accessible." "You were right about that." "What changed?" Harper asked softly. Natalia settled into the chair next to hers instead of behind the desk. The gesture felt significant somehow. "Reality," Natalia said simply. "The first time I pitched to investors, they asked if I had a male co-founder who could handle the technical aspects. The second time, they offered to fund me if I agreed to step down as CEO once we reached a certain size." She took a sip of wine, her eyes distant. "I learned to be harder, colder, to never show uncertainty or emotion because the moment I did, someone would use it against me. That must have been exhausting." "It was necessary," Natalia corrected, but her voice lacked conviction. "Is necessary? Is it?" Harper sat down her wine glass. "You've already proven yourself 100 times over. You're worth billions. You employ thousands of people. You've revolutionized 3 different industries. At what point do you get to stop fighting battles you already won?" Natalia's smile was bitter. Never. Because the moment you let your guard down, someone else is ready to take your place. What if that's not true anymore? What if you've built something so strong that you can afford to be human again? "I tried that once." Natalia's voice was barely above a whisper. 5 years ago, I fell in love with someone who worked here, a brilliant software engineer named Lauren. Harper's chest tightened, but she forced herself to listen. "I thought we could keep it private, professional, but the board found out. They said it created conflicts of interest, that my judgment was compromised." Natalia's hands clenched around her wine glass. "They gave me an ultimatum. Her or the company." "What did you do?" "I chose the company." "Lauren left." "She was right to." Natalia's voice cracked slightly. "She said I'd let fear turn me into someone she didn't recognize." The pieces clicked into place for Harper. The walls. The Ice Queen reputation. The terror of showing any vulnerability. "You've been protecting yourself ever since," Harper said gently. "I've been protecting everything I built. This company employs 8,000 people. It supports their families, their dreams. I can't risk that for personal feelings. But what about your dreams? Your feelings? Natalia looked at her, then really looked at her. And Harper saw years of loneliness in those emerald eyes. I gave those up a long time ago. They sat in silence, the weight of Natalia's admission settling between them. Outside, Eastbridge City glittered in the darkness, millions of lives intersecting and diverging in the endless dance of the city. Can I tell you something? Harper said finally. Natalia nodded. Yesterday's presentation wasn't heartless because of the strategy. It was heartless because you weren't in it. The real you. The woman who built computers in our bedroom and wanted to change the world. That woman was naive. That woman was brave. Natalia's breath caught. For a moment, the mask slipped completely, revealing someone younger and more vulnerable than Harper had imagined. I don't know how to be her anymore, Natalia whispered. Maybe you don't have to be her. Maybe you can be someone new, someone who's learned from her mistakes, but hasn't forgotten her heart. Natalia stood abruptly and moved back to the windows. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is why I can't what? Can't let myself care about you. The words hung in the air like a confession. Harper's heart stopped, then started again at double speed. Miss Graves, Natalia, she said quietly. When we're alone, call me Natalia. Natalia. The name felt intimate on Harper's lips. What are you afraid of? Natalia turned, her eyes bright with unshed tears. I'm afraid that if I let myself care about you the way I want to, I'll lose everything again. And this time, I won't survive it. The next morning, Natalia's email appeared in Harper's inbox at exactly 6 a.m. Join me for the Morrison. Client meeting at 10 o'clock. We're redesigning the campaign. Bring your ideas about emotional connections. Harper stared at the message, reading it 3 times. Yesterday evening felt like a dream. The wine, the confessions, the moment of raw honesty between them. Now Natalia was involving her in a major client presentation. The Morrison account was huge. A pharmaceutical company wanting to rebrand their public image after a recent scandal. Harper had studied their case file obsessively, knowing she'd never get near such a high-profile project as an intern. She arrived at conference room 15 minutes early, armed with notebooks full of research and mock-ups she created on her own time. Natalia was already there, back in full CEO mode. Crisp black suit, hair pulled back, emerald eyes focused and professional. Good morning, Miss Lane. The formal tone stung after last night's intimacy, but Harper understood. They were in public now. The walls were back up. Good morning, Miss Graves. The Morrison executives arrived precisely at 10 o'clock. 3 men in expensive suits who looked like they'd stepped from a corporate boardroom catalog. They greeted Natalia with a careful respect reserved for people who could make or break their company. Gentlemen, Natalia began. I'd like you to meet Harper Lane, one of our most promising team members. She's been developing some innovative approaches to your rebranding challenge. Harper's heart jumped. Natalia was positioning her as an equal, not an intern. Lane, Natalia continued, would you like to share your insights? This was it. Sink or swim? Harper stood and moved to the presentation screen. Morrison Pharmaceuticals has a trust problem, she began. Your recent lawsuit made headlines because people felt betrayed by a company they've relied on for years. The executives shifted uncomfortably, but Natalia nodded encouragement. Traditional rebranding focuses on messaging and logos, Harper continued. But you can't rebrand trust. You have to rebuild it. She clicked to her first slide, a split screen showing Morrison's current advertising versus their competitors. Your current campaign emphasizes corporate achievements and scientific excellence. But people don't care how many awards you've won when they're worried about their grandmother's heart medication. One executive leaned forward. What do you suggest? Stop talking about your company. Start talking about theirs, their families, their fears, their hopes. Harper clicked to her mock-ups. Show real people whose lives you've improved. Not testimonials, but stories. Partner with patient advocacy groups, fund community health programs. She was finding her rhythm now, her passion overriding her nerves. Make your company synonymous with caring, not just curing. Interesting approach. Another executive said, but how do we measure emotional impact? Natalia spoke for the first time since the presentation began. Ms. Lane has prepared comprehensive metrics for emotional engagement, including social sentiment analysis and long-term brand loyalty tracking. Harper shot her a grateful look. She prepared those metrics, working late into the night, but she hadn't expected Natalia to know about them. The goal isn't just rehabilitation, Harper concluded. It's transformation from a pharmaceutical company that had problems to a healthcare partner that solves them. The room fell silent. The executives exchanged glances, processing her proposal. Finally, the lead executive smiled. Ms. Lane, that's the most human approach to corporate rebranding I've heard in 20 years. We'll need time to review the full proposal, another added. But the initial concept is compelling. After the clients left, Natalia and Harper were alone in the conference room. The silence stretched until Harper couldn't stand it anymore. Was that okay? I know I went off script. You were perfect. Natalia's voice was soft, unguarded. That's exactly what I was hoping for. You knew about my metrics research? Natalia smiled. A real smile, not her professional mask. I may have had someone from it check your computer access logs. You've been working until midnight every night this week. I wanted to be prepared. You were more than prepared. You were inspired. Natalia gathered her papers, but her movements were slower than usual. The Morrison account could be worth $50 million. If they accept your proposal, it'll be the biggest rebranding in pharmaceutical history. Our proposal, Harper corrected. I couldn't have presented it without your support. No, Natalia said. This was yours. I just gave you the platform. They walked toward the elevator together, the air between them humming with unspoken possibilities. When the door slid shut and they were alone, some of Natalia's polished professional facade eased. Last night, Natalia said quietly, I told you things I've never told anyone. I know. I need you to understand, she went on. I can't give you promises. I can't risk. I'm not asking for promises, Harper said, turning to face her fully. I am asking for honesty. This thing between us, whatever it is, it's real, isn't it? Natalia's breath hitched. Yes, she admitted. And that terrifies me. The elevator chimed softly as they reached Natalia's floor. She stepped out, then paused and looked back at Harper. Harper? Yes. Thank you, Natalia said, for reminding me why I fell in love with this business in the first place. The doors closed, leaving Harper alone with her racing heartbeat and the echo of Natalia's words in the small metal box. Outside the glass walls, Eastbridge City stretched out in every direction, endless and glittering. Somewhere in that vast city, two women were falling in love despite every reason they shouldn't. And for the first time in years, that felt like the most important business proposal of all. 2 weeks after the Morrison presentation, everything unraveled. Harper was working late in the design lab when Monica burst through the door, her usually composed face drained of color. You need to see this, Monica gasped, shoving her tablet into Harper's hands. It's everywhere. The headline screamed across the screen in bold type. Graves Industries CEO in secret romance with intern exclusive photos reveal Natalia. Graves's inappropriate relationship, Harper's blood went cold. Beneath the headline were photos grainy but unmistakable. Her and Natalia in the conference room after the Morrison meeting. Their heads bent close together by the elevator. Natalia's hand resting briefly on Harper's shoulder. Oh God, Harper whispered. How did they... Someone leaked them to Corporate Insider about an hour ago, Monica said. The board's in an emergency session. Natalia's been locked in her office since the story broke. Harper's hands shook as she scrolled through the article. The journalist had done their research, twisting every interaction into a narrative of workplace impropriety and abuse of power. They'd interviewed anonymous sources who claimed Natalia was known for taking advantage of young employees. None of this is true, Harper said desperately. There was never anything inappropriate. It doesn't matter, Monica said gently. The optics are terrible. Natalia's assistant pursuing a relationship with a subordinate. The board will see it as exactly the kind of liability they've always worried about. Harper's phone buzzed with text messages, friends who'd seen the article, her parents confused and concerned, reporters requesting comment. She ignored them all and headed for the elevator. Whatever was happening, she and Natalia needed to face it together. The 43rd floor felt like a funeral parlor. Natalia's office was dark except for the glow of her computer screen. She sat motionless, staring at something Harper couldn't see. Natalia. Harper knocked softly on the glass door. Natalia looked up and Harper's heart broke. The confident CEO was gone, replaced by someone who looked utterly defeated. You shouldn't be here, Natalia said quietly. They'll use it against us. I don't care. Harper stepped inside and closed the door. Are you okay? Natalia's laugh was hollow. Am I okay? My board is debating my future. My company's stock dropped 12% in 2 hours. The woman she stopped herself. The woman I care about is being dragged through the media because of me. This isn't your fault. Isn't it? Natalia stood and moved to the windows, but instead of her usual confident posture, her shoulders sagged. I knew this would happen. I knew exactly what the cost would be, and I let it happen anyway. What are you saying? I'm saying I've spent 5 years building walls to protect everything I created, and I tore them down for you. Natalia's voice cracked, and now I'm going to lose it all. Harper felt like she was drowning. The board can't fire you. You own 40% of the company. They can force a vote of no confidence. They can make my position untenable. They can do exactly what they did with Lauren, but worse. Natalia turned, her eyes bright with tears she refused to shed. Because this time, I don't just look emotionally compromised. I look predatory. You're not predatory. Anyone who knows you, no one knows me. The words exploded from Natalia like a dam breaking. That was the point. I made myself unknowable, unreachable, because it was safe. And then you walked into my boardroom with your honesty and your passion and your complete inability to be intimidated by me. Natalia moved closer, her eyes desperate. You made me remember what it felt like to be human, what it felt like to care, about something more than quarterly reports and market share. You made me remember who I used to be. That's not a bad thing. It is when it destroys everything. Natalia's composure finally shattered completely. I'm 39 years old, Harper. I've given my entire adult life to building something meaningful. I can't watch it crumble because I fell in love. The words hung in the air between them. The first time either had used that word aloud. You love me, Harper said softly. Natalia's face crumpled. Yes, I love you. And that's exactly the problem. Harper reached for her, but Natalia stepped back. Don't, please. It's already too late. What do you mean? Natalia moved to her desk and picked up a legal document. The board's conditions for keeping me as CEO. You resign immediately. You sign a non-disclosure agreement. You never contact me again, professionally or personally. Harper felt the world tilt sideways. And if I don't, they remove me from leadership and start criminal proceedings for workplace harassment. That's insane. You never harassed me. Can you prove that? When every photo shows me in positions of authority over you? When I'm the one who promoted you to important projects? Natalia's voice was dead. They have enough to destroy my reputation permanently. Harper stared at the document in Natalia's hands. So that's it. We just give up. There is no we, Harper. There never really was. Natalia's mask was sliding back into place. The vulnerable woman disappearing behind the Ice Queen façade. This was a mistake. A beautiful, devastating mistake. Don't do that, Harper said fiercely. Don't pretend this meant nothing. It meant everything. Natalia's voice broke. That's why it has to end. The silence stretched between them like a chasm. Outside, Eastbridge City glittered with promise and possibility. Everything they couldn't have. I won't sign it, Harper said finally. You have to. I won't let them destroy you because we fell in love. Natalia closed her eyes. Then you'll destroy us both. Harper didn't sleep that night. She sat in her studio apartment, surrounded by boxes of research about Natalia, about Graves Industries, about everything she dreamed of accomplishing. The resignation letter sat on her laptop screen, cursor blinking in the signature field. One click, and it would all be over. At sunrise, her phone rang. Unknown number. Miss Lane, this is Marcus Lee from the Wall Street Journal. I'd like to offer you a chance to tell your side of the story. Harper hung up. The phone rang again immediately. Miss Lane, Clara Ortiz from Tech Weekly. Our sources say you and Natalia Graves have been having an affair for months. She turned off her phone and made coffee with shaking hands. Outside her window, Eastbridge City was waking up. Millions of people starting their day. Unaware that her world was falling apart. A knock at her door made her jump. Through the peephole, she saw Monica standing in the hallway looking exhausted. How did you find my address? Harper asked as she opened the door. HR files? Monica stepped inside carrying 2 cups of coffee and a manila envelope. Natalia doesn't know I'm here. What's in the envelope? Evidence. Security footage, email logs, witness statements from employees who've worked with both of you. Monica sat on Harper's couch. Proof that your relationship developed naturally and appropriately. That Natalia never used her position to pressure you. Harper's heart leaped. This could clear everything up. It could, but Natalia won't use it. What? Why? Monica sighed. Because she's convinced that fighting back will only make things worse. She thinks her only option is to sacrifice herself or you to save the company. That's ridiculous. Is it 5 years ago? She fought for Lauren. She challenged the board, defended their relationship, insisted love didn't compromise her judgment. Monica's voice was grim. They destroyed both of them. Lauren couldn't find work anywhere in tech. Natalia learned to be colder, harder, more isolated. So she's just going to give up. She's trying to protect you the only way she knows how. Harper stared out her window at the city skyline. Somewhere in those gleaming towers, Natalia was probably sitting in her office, preparing to sacrifice everything she'd built for love. There has to be another way, Harper said. There is, Monica leaned forward. But it's risky, and Natalia will hate it. Tell me. The board meeting is at 2 o'clock. They're expecting you to resign quietly and disappear. Instead, you show up and demand to address them directly. They'll never allow that. They will if you threaten to hold a press conference instead. The board hates public scandals even more than they hate workplace romances. Monica pulled out her phone. I've already reached out to 3 journalists who would love an exclusive with the intern at the center of this story. What would I tell the board? The truth. That you pursued Natalia, not the other way around. That she maintained strict professional boundaries, even when you pushed against them. That the affair they're so worried about never actually happened. Harper's pulse quickened. What if they don't believe me? Then you still go down fighting. But at least Natalia keeps her company. For the first time in 24 hours, Harper felt hope stirring in her chest. She'll never forgive me for going behind her back. Maybe, but she'd be alive to not forgive you. Monica stood. The question is, do you love her enough to risk losing her forever to save her? After Monica left, Harper sat at her laptop, staring at the resignation letter again. Everything in her life had led to this moment. Her education, her dreams, her belief that love was worth fighting for. She deleted the resignation letter and started typing something new. At PM, Harper walked into Graves Industries wearing her best suit and carrying a folder full of evidence. She didn't go to her desk or stop by the design lab. She went straight to the 44th floor where the boardroom was located. The receptionist looked panicked. Miss Lane, I don't think you're supposed to. I'm here for the board meeting, Harper said calmly. Please tell them Harper Lane is requesting 5 minutes to address the situation before they make any decisions. I'll need to check. Tell them I'll be holding a press conference at 4 o'clock if I can't speak to them first. The receptionist's eyes went wide. She picked up her phone and spoke in urgent whispers. Through the glass walls, Harper could see the 12 board members seated around their mahogany table. Natalia sat at the head, looking smaller than Harper had ever seen her. Her face was a mask of professional composure, but Harper could see the defeat in her posture. The receptionist hung up. "They'll see you." As Harper walked toward the boardroom, she caught Natalia's eye through the glass. Natalia's face went white, then red, then settled into an expression of pure fury. This was it. The biggest gamble of her life. The boardroom doors opened and Harper stepped inside to save the woman she loved. The boardroom fell silent as Harper entered. 12 pairs of eyes studied her like scientists examining a specimen. At the head of the table, Natalia looked like she wanted to throttle her. "Miss Lane," the board chairman said coolly, "this is highly irregular. You were supposed to submit your resignation hours ago." "I'm not resigning," Harper said, her voice steadier than she felt. "And I'm not signing any non-disclosure agreements either." The board members exchanged glances. Natalia's face was a mask of professional fury, but Harper caught the flash of panic in her eyes. "You do realize," another board member said, "that we can pursue criminal charges if you refuse to cooperate." For what crime? Harper placed her folder on the table. Falling in love with someone who consistently maintained professional boundaries. Challenging my supervisor to be better at her job. Working overtime without pay because I believed in this company's mission. She opened the folder and distributed copies of her documentation. Security footage showing that Natalia never visited my floor except during business hours. Email logs proving all our interactions were work-related. Witness statements from colleagues who confirmed that Natalia treated me exactly like every other intern. Professionally, appropriately, and sometimes harshly. The board chairman frowned at the documents. "What exactly are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting that Corporate Insider got their story wrong. Natalia never pursued me. I pursued her. And even then, she maintained strict professional boundaries that honestly frustrated the hell out of me." One board member looked up sharply. "You're admitting to workplace harassment." "I'm admitting to being a 23-year-old woman who fell in love with her brilliant, beautiful, completely unattainable boss." Harper's voice grew stronger. "I'm admitting to pushing boundaries that Natalia repeatedly reinforced. I'm admitting to challenging her ideas, questioning her methods, and yes, developing feelings for her that she never encouraged." Natalia finally spoke, her voice tight with controlled anger. "Miss Lane, what do you think you're doing?" "I'm telling the truth." Harper met her eyes directly. "Something you taught me to value more than safety." The board chairman shuffled through the documents. "These are comprehensive because the truth is comprehensive. Natalia Graves is the most ethical leader I've ever encountered. Even when I made it clear I was interested in her personally, she never wavered from professional conduct. The closest we ever came to anything inappropriate was sharing wine in her office while discussing business strategy. The photos suggest otherwise." Another board member pointed out, "The photos show two people having intense professional conversations, which, if you know Natalia, describes most of her interactions." Harper couldn't help smiling slightly. She's not exactly known for casual small talk. Despite herself, Natalia's mouth twitched almost imperceptibly. "Let me be very clear," Harper continued. "I respect Natalia Graves more than anyone I've ever met. She's demanding, brilliant, and uncompromising in her standards. She pushed me to be better, think deeper, and work harder than I thought possible. If that's what you call harassment, then every great leader in history was a harasser." The room was dead silent. Harper took a breath and played her final card. "I know you think Natalia's judgment is compromised because she has feelings for me." "You're right. It is compromised because instead of firing me the first time I challenged her in front of this board, she saw potential. Instead of dismissing my ideas because I'm young and inexperienced, she gave me opportunities to prove myself. Instead of protecting her reputation by keeping me at a distance, she risked everything to mentor someone she believed in." Harper's voice grew passionate. That's not weakness. That's leadership. That's exactly the kind of CEO this company needs. Someone who cares more about finding the best ideas than protecting herself. She turned to Natalia, whose mask was beginning to crack. You taught me that courage means speaking truth even when it's dangerous. Well, here's my truth. I love you, and I'm not going to let you sacrifice yourself because we fell in love. Natalia's breath caught audibly. Around the table, board members shifted uncomfortably. Furthermore, Harper said, turning back to the board, if you remove Natalia from leadership because she showed human emotions, you'll be making the biggest mistake in corporate history. Because she's not just the best CEO this company has ever had, she's the only one brave enough to evolve. The board chairman cleared his throat. Miss Lane, even if we accept your version of events, the optics remain problematic. Then change the narrative. Harper pulled out her final document. I've prepared a press release explaining the situation accurately. Natalia mentored a promising intern. Said intern developed personal feelings that were never reciprocated inappropriately. Both parties maintained professional conduct throughout. End of scandal. She looked around the table. Or you can destroy the reputation of the most successful CEO in your company's history because she committed the crime of inspiring loyalty in her employees. The silence stretched for an eternity. Finally, the board chairman spoke. We need to discuss this privately. Miss Lane and Graves, please step outside. In the hallway, Natalia grabbed Harper's arm. Are you insane? She hissed. You just put your entire career on the line to save yours. Harper interrupted. Because someone once told me that you can't change the world if you're bankrupt. Well, you can't change it if you're not here either. Natalia's anger crumbled into something raw and vulnerable. You could have walked away. Signed the papers, started over somewhere else. I don't want somewhere else. I want here with you fighting for something that matters. Natalia's eyes filled with tears she'd been holding back for days. What if they fire us both? Then we'll start our own company in your garage like you did the first time. Despite everything, Natalia laughed. A real laugh, the first Harper had heard in days. You really are impossible. You love me anyway. I love you because of it. The boardroom doors opened. The chairman emerged, his expression unreadable. After careful consideration, he announced, the board has voted to retain Ms. Graves as CEO, contingent upon implementing new policies regarding workplace relationships to prevent future complications. Natalia's knees nearly buckled with relief. And Miss Lane will be transferred to our Paris office to head up the new European Creative Division, effective immediately. Harper's heart sank. Paris was 5,000 miles away. Alternatively, the chairman continued, she can resign and pursue opportunities elsewhere. The choice is hers. Natalia and Harper looked at each other, the weight of impossible choices settling between them. But then Natalia did something that surprised everyone, including herself. She smiled. Actually, Natalia said, her voice strong and clear, I have a third option to propose. 6 months later, Harper stood in the main conference room of Graves Creative, the independent design agency she and Natalia had founded together. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows of their Soho loft office, Eastbridge City sparkled in the afternoon sun. Ready for the Morrison presentation? Natalia asked, appearing at her shoulder. Are you? Harper countered, adjusting Natalia's tie with familiar intimacy. I'm ready for anything as long as you're there to challenge my ideas afterward. They'd walked away from Graves Industries together 3 months earlier. Natalia had resigned to launch new ventures, and Harper had politely turned down the Paris offer. The tech world had reeled at the news, but their new firm was already drawing in clients, eager for the blend of Natalia's razor-sharp strategy and Harper's inventive creativity. No regrets? Harper asked, as she had every morning since they'd taken the leap. Just one, Natalia replied, drawing her into an embrace. I regret waiting so long to remember what actually matters. Outside, Eastbridge City buzzed with limitless possibility. Inside, Two women who would gamble everything on love were building something of their own, something that honored both their ambitions and their hearts. As they stepped into the conference room to present their vision to Morrison Pharmaceuticals, Harper thought of the girl who had once ridden that elevator up to the 43rd floor of Graves Industries, palms sweating around a portfolio. She'd believed she was simply starting an internship. Instead, she'd found her partner, her purpose, and a place that finally felt like home. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel and tap that notification bell for more powerful love stories that prove the biggest. Risks can lead to the most beautiful rewards. And don't forget to share this video with someone who needs that reminder.